Pagdating sa sport na powerlifting, ilan lang ang kayang i-match ang brute strength ng kababayan natin si Dwayne Johnston. Ilang championships na ang napanununan at records na naset ang Filipino-Australian powerlifter at nandito siya ngayon sa bansa para i-promote ang sport at makasama siya ngayong gabi. Good evening, Dwayne. Welcome to The Score.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us. Well, tell us about your sport. It's such a rare sport that we don't really hear much of. I mean, as rare as Heidelin Diaz's weightlifting sport is really rare to begin with, even so I guess powerlifting. So tell us your history of how someone like you can get into the sport of powerlifting.
Right, no, not a problem. I mean, I started exactly like Heidelin. I started in Olympic lifting.
Okay.
2 years in Olympic lifting with the Australian team from 11 to 12 years old.
All right.
And then I just eventually made the transition to powerlifting further in life, just finding a sport in the gym. And I was always fascinated with big, strong Viking-like men and things like that. So just made that transition.
Were you always big?
No, I was actually
not?
no, I was actually one of the smallest up until year 12. So that's the graduating level of high school.
Okay.
I was actually one of the smallest guys in
Seriously?
school. Yeah,
Okay.
my little brother, when we were born, he was actually bigger than me. And I'm 6'2", 180 kilos.
Okay.
He's 5'5", 60 kilos now.
I'm 180 pounds, by the way. So that's a big difference right there, 180 kilos. Okay. Okay, so you eventually bulked up. Because people would think that the athletes who get into powerlifting are big, bulky dudes to begin with.
Right.
But so it's not the case for you?
Well, I've always had an athletic background.
Okay.
I spent 2 years in the US trying out for NFL teams. And I've always had that background playing sports growing up through high school and much like the kids here. So that athletic background actually provided me with a platform to obviously succeed in powerlifting.
Awesome. Well, when did you feel that it was something that you would take seriously? I mean, when you got into it and you enjoyed it, you shifted to powerlifting as well. I mean, at what point did you say, hey, I think I could be pretty good at this, and I think I could be one of the best in this country, where you were from, Australia, and one of the best in the world?
Yeah, it's funny when you talked about failure. So I didn't manage to actually get signed by an NFL team.
Okay.
But
in your attempt to join the NFL.
Correct. Yeah. But upon that failure, I made the transition back into competitive lifting, and then that experience and that journey actually taught me to be able to focus and flip that switch and convince myself that I could be the best in the world.
Okay. So you were into powerlifting already, and then you got this invitation to join an NFL camp, which is the National Football League, for the Filipinos who might not be fully aware what American football is.
Yeah.
And then, so that was quite an experience, I can imagine, from someone who never played football.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Exactly right. So just from my talents and the hard work that I put in from lifting, and it just snowballed until I got the notoriety that I got.
Wow. Okay. And so from that experience, you went back. And what brought out that hunger again to go back into powerlifting and get better?
Unfinished business. Unfinished business. And then, like I said, the journey taught me to flip the switch, and now I can flip the switch and focus and have those goals that may be a little bit insurmountable at times to everyone else, or even to myself at the beginning, but I'm convinced I can get this done.
Incredible. Well, tell us why you're here. What takes you here? I understand you're promoting the sport. That's for one, and you're also giving talks, right? So, what are the things that you've shared as your lessons in your life that are helping other athletes here?
Yeah. So, no one would think that particularly a Filipino man could arguably be the strongest man on the planet, and that's obviously something that's driven me from the beginning.
Okay.
Who would have thought that a half Filipino, half Australian man could be the strongest man on the planet, given the history of strength sports?
Right.
And I wanted to obviously preach that to my people, and in that, give an outlet for kids these days and people these days to not just be stuck in that rut, and can give them something positive in order to succeed and use that in their other versions of life.
What does it take to be good at what you do? I mean, I can imagine one I can think of is extreme discipline, just to be able to do some things you have to do. But what does it take to get to a very competitive level of where you were at and want to be one of the best?
I'll give you an example. I'll use the example of myself, what's taken me to get here. Every day, I'm getting ready for a competition in October. On October 15th, it's the biggest international pro competition in the world.
Oh, cool.
The best of the best, the elite 15 are invited. So that requires me to train 4 times a week, about 2 to 2.5 hours. Extensive contrast recovery, extensive therapy, as well as probably the most difficult thing for myself, and probably for a lot of people as well, is eating.
The eating part.
The eating
What's it like? I mean, can you imagine? Do you have to eat so much that sometimes you can't take it, or do you have to watch exactly what you're eating? What's it like when you're talking about a diet of a professional powerlifter.
Yeah, for myself, I found trial and error is what got me into this position.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to carry that amount of muscle mass without that trial and error, those failures. For myself, what works best for myself is anywhere between 8 to 10 meals a day. I try
8 to 10 meals.
Meals per day.
Meals
per day.
All right.
I try to eat every 2.5 hours. I try to restrict it to 2 because that's what works for me.
Okay.
And anywhere around 6.5, 7,000 calories a day.
Okay, and these are not small meals. You're talking about meals.
Yeah, meals. So like 200 grams of chicken and half a cup of rice is one meal. And then 2 hours later, same thing again, same thing again, same thing again.
Do you get tired of eating so much?
You do after a while, right? Your jaw gets a little sore and tired. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And if that's what I got to do to be the best, then so be it. I'll eat and do whatever I have to do.
And what is it like leading up to competition time? We're very used to watching whatever more competitive guys, of course, Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of tapers off the last week and a half or so to maintain his weight. For you guys, is it something similar when you're nearing the competition date? Do you have to tweak some things in your workout and your diet as well?
Yeah, great question. So it's something very, very similar. And it can obviously be mirrored because we're all athletes at the end of the day. The weights get heavier, the recovery increases, the calories increase. But up until a certain point, we begin to pull back a little bit.
Okay, because you don't want to burn out.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Because the weights are so heavy, and obviously for everyone's individual, you know, you begin to find that sort of risk versus reward situation. Am I going to go heavier or am I going to get hurt? Am I going to get a training effect or am I just fueling my ego right now? So I pull it back in order to super compensate and be ready for comp day or ready for fight day or be ready for the game, whatever it may be.
I can imagine how there's so few people who are in this sport that they're, you know, as you said, you keep saying trial and error. So you had to figure things out yourself. There's not that many people ahead of you that have learned the lessons or passing it on to the younger ones.
Yeah, exactly right. You're spot on. Trial and error, and that's what I've been. One of the biggest keys is surrounding yourself with the right people and the right training partners, the right coaches. It's very difficult these days to find someone who's actually done it themselves, let alone get themselves from point A to point B and get to the elite level. So that's
you mentioned that getting from point A to point B, and you mentioned that earlier when I was asking you what you talk about. And what is it like and I'm fascinated with this concept of setting goals and being goal driven. What is it like? Whatever it is you're going to do, getting from point A to point B, what does it take to get there, amidst the fact that everybody's got their challenges?
People talk about having dreams. I dream about earning a $10 million contract, or I dream about earning a car, or I dream about whatever it is. That journey that I had in the US with the NFL taught me to turn those dreams and make it an obsession. If that's my goal, that's my obsession. It's no longer a dream. So we're now going up a level. So whatever it takes. If I have to eat 8, 10 meals, let's do it. If I have to sit in an ice tub for 40 minutes every day or whatever it may be, so be it. I got to do it. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, you've got a big event happening this weekend. One more talk before you go home. Tell us about where this is and where can people out there who are curious to know your story to meet you.
So I've got multiple talks still, which is great.
Cool.
The more and more I get to speak to kids and more I get to speak to people here in the Philippines, it's fantastic.
All right.
It's a blessing. But I have a really big, important talk at Ensayo Gym on Saturday. And that's in Quezon City as well, from 1 o'clock onwards. So what I'll do is I'll explain my journey. I want to allow for a lot of time for Q&A. So everyone could be interactive, and I'm obviously going to do a demo as well.
Okay, and when you demo some of the videos we're seeing on the screens, that's what you demo?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't
I'm just curious, how heavy are the weights that you lift?
So that's 300 for a triple.
300 kilograms.
Kilograms. That's me doing a demo for coaching some coaches and some lifters. Just some easy little cues which you can use to be better.
Awesome. All right. So for those who want to check it out and meet Gawain, that's on Saturday, 1 o'clock at the Ensayo Gym in Quezon City. They can just Google it to find out the exact location. And it's so cool that you do so much work, and you do know your name in Tagalog. It's Gawain.
Yes, means work.
Means work. So,
means work, right?
Man, you're just born for this. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. And thank you for coming over here. And I'm sure you've already inspired a lot of youngsters out there, and many more to come. And we wish you all your best in your journey to the top. Gawain, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For more sports updates, keep watching The Score. And don't forget to subscribe.